What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where each week I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about idle champions and Dungeons and Dragons. And with me today is, well, there's two people here. I don't even know who to introduce first. You two introduce yourselves.
Yeah, so do you want me to introduce Tom?
Introduce Tom. Tom, you introduce Elliot.
Sure. This is Elliot. He's the writer, director, magnificent producer of Deerstalker Pictures. He's also made a show called One for All, and we happen to be part of that. It's a D&D based show, and look at him go, look at him dance.
Oh wow, yeah, that's my best introduction yet. Yeah, look at the little guy go. He's still going. Oh, you know, we never expected him to still be making it so far, but
we just wound that little thing up on his back, and he's just going on.
Yeah, in fact, it's kind of hard to stop. We've stopped trying to catch him.
Okay, well, yeah, this is Tom, aka Forgeling, and he is one of the actors and characters on the show. One for All, he plays Antrius, the beautiful, handsome bard with just amazing vocal cords, and he's one of my favorite characters for sure.
And people, but let's not push it that far.
I do love that as you were introducing him, the smolder expression slowly came across Tom's face.
Nice. That's contractual.
Well, thank you both for being with me here today. This is, like I said, I don't do too many two-person interviews, so this is gonna be fun. I'm excited for this, and we're here today to talk about Antrius and join Idle Champions. We'll say the first of the awful ones to show up. You know, there's one and there's three people. We'll see what happens in the future. Who knows?
I mean,
who
start
can say
strong.
what happens? That's in
Yeah,
the future.
it's all downhill after Antrius.
Well, I want to start things off the way that I always like to when I have people on the show for the first time, and you all can decide who goes first on this. This is gonna be the fun juggling thing of who talks first. How did you all get into D&D?
We'll pass to Elliot first, because I've told this story many times.
Oh, we have all told this story a lot of times.
Yeah,
but,
true.
still fun. So I was in between sort of like ideas on YouTube and what I wanted to do next. And you know, we have been friends with Eva DeVore, who plays Evandra on the show for a long time, like for almost 10 years or something.
Oh wow. Nice.
And she for I think her partner's birthday, they decided just to do a one shot on like D&D. And you know, my brother or something had played D&D like when I was growing up, but I just kind of never gotten into it. Like I'd done, you know, like Baldur's Gate and like Neverwinter Nights, like the games, but never actually like played the pen and paper. And then, yeah, she just invited us over one night and we had a really cursed game that I think it extended into a two-shot, as these things often do. But you know, it was just like so fun at the time, and you know, ever since then we've just like, this is it, this is everything.
It does have that effect on people.
What edition was that, Elliot?
That was 5th, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Fun times.
As for me, I was one of the cool kids in primary school, and I went to something called library camp. Yeah, as cool
I don't
as it
know
sounds.
what this is. What is library camp?
Well, it's kind of like a camp in a library. Like I said, as cool as it sounds. It was part of a community project with a town or region called Mossman. I went to Mossman Primary School, let's call it. And there was just an advertisement for come play D&D in a library, and we'll just hang out for the evening. It's a weird phrasing, right? But anyway, I went down to the lower floors of the library, and I joined in on my first group.
Did you play D&D for the first time in the basement of a library?
Yes.
That's one of the most fantastic things I've ever heard.
It was very strange. And recounting this, I've got to be very careful in the way that I phrase certain parts of it. But yeah, basically, a bunch of kids went down to a basement. We played D&D for the first time. I think it was 3.5.
Oh wow.
And yeah, we just got handed like stock character sheets. I got like a dwarven warrior, and then that campaign, obviously, like most campaigns do, ended up flowing on, and we yeah, just hadn't stopped playing since about year 4.
Wow. That is awesome. There
Why
you
we
go.
can't.
That is I genuinely one of my favorite things of doing this show is hearing the ways that folks like got to play D&D for the first time, and it has run the gamut. And on the basement of a library, that is definitely one of the more unique ones. I've had the basement of a tavern. I mean, that's pretty
good.
That's on point.
Yeah. Are you supposed to be there? No.
Did we break in? Maybe.
It's like extreme D&D. You go like really strange places.
Yeah, you have to do your own thievery checks before playing the game. But we're here today to talk about Antrius, and I mean, some folks might be sitting here and be like, why you said that it was weird. You have 2 people on. Why do you have 2 people on? Well, this is, if you haven't seen All for One, it is a very different kind of D&D show. Elliot, what would you say is the way you describe this show for folks?
So One for All is basically like a sketch comedy show, focusing on like just the worst party that you could ever imagine. It's kind of like Always Sunny, in mixed with Forgotten Realms.
That's a perfect description of it now that you say that. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, we have a trio that we follow, the party, and we cut between them in the fantasy world and then the players at the tabletop. And it's all like led by the dungeon master, Patrick, who the actor who plays Patrick also plays, at one stage he did play every single NPC. And that was kind of the gimmick. But along the way, it's like, production is difficult. And having him do multiple costume changes in a day while filming a scene, very difficult. And I mean, also just like, he is a white man, so having a white man play every role is it's very
That's fair. I did like that bit though, for like the amount of time where it was just him doing it, when it was like kind of the one-on-one between the adventurers and one other person. I love that bit so much.
Just to piggyback on that, it was, I think, season 1, episode 4, when you locked off the camera and you did like multiple people in the crowd, and then had to put Kendall's face on every single one of them.
Oh yeah,
I didn't realize that.
The most cursed thing I did was one of the extras was holding like a baby, like not a real baby, like a doll.
Not a human.
I like composited Kendall's face, the actor, onto this baby and made him go like wah, like crying, and it was just so cursed. But anyway, that was the start of how cursed the show got.
Started strong.
I almost went to YouTube to try and find that, because I'm like, I don't remember seeing the baby, but I will do that later, because that does sound like a cursed image that will throw me off the rest of the show. But one of these adventures is Antrius, who Tom plays. Who is Antrius? What is he about?
I think it's just a general nuisance. I mean, I guess it's sort of like generally shaped around the concept of a problematic pestery musician, and I think the bard was the best way to frame him. I mean, I think what you originally intended, Elliot, and what we ended up with on the first 2 episodes was 2 very different things. But it kind of grew and evolved as it went on. I don't know. What do you say?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like when we first started making the show, honestly, it was going to be like a one and done sort of thing. So we didn't know if people would like it. We didn't know if people would like respond as they did. And clearly, we were silly for making that assumption. But like, you know, at the time, we wrote 3 characters who just kind of inhabited like all of the worst traits and the like stereotypes of bad players. It's basically like a what not to do for D&D. And so we had, of course, like the bard who, you know, classically just wants to seduce everything and everyone in sight. And you know, that's how it started. But as we went along, we did realize, like, you know, the actors that we got together, they're incredibly talented. They can bring a lot to the table. They can do a lot more than just like, you know, horny bard jokes. And so we just started like, you know, gradually building up their characters and giving them a bit more backstory and all of that, and kind of let them develop and evolve over the few years we've been doing this.
I think that there's like a very like there's this really nice grown organic feel to the party, and Antrius sort of seems to be playing almost not quite a straight man, like a generally queer man, let's call it.
Generally queer man. I like that.
It's a new term. Don't worry about it.
Yes, it's a t-shirts all around.
But no, he's maybe the heart of the party, let's say.
Okay.
You feel free to do that. No, not at all.
Look, I think they all maybe except for Nixie, they do take turns being like the straight man and like the moral compass. But they both have their little ticks that if whatever happens, they will suddenly start running in this direction. So, you know, Antrius sees like a beautiful, attractive tiefling, and then all of a sudden derailed.
Forget it, done.
I like what you're saying there though about like the kind of switching back and forth between like moral compass or like heart of the team, stuff like that. And I think that really plays to the sketch comedy kind of aspect of the show, because you do get to see them in different aspects, like whereas like other shows where, like, you know, if it's an actual play, you're seeing like every single moment. I love that these are like slices of adventures with them, and getting to see them go between those and just kind of filling into your head is just like, okay, well, they're Idris isn't always like it's not the first episode where he's always hip thrusting at everything.
Just once, sometimes subtly off screen.
Under the table, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, what?
Oh no.
Well, one of the things I want to ask you, because Elliot, you write this character, Tom, you play them, like how much of there is there like any kind of like back and forth? Like, Elliot, do you have an idea that like Tom's like, oh, I don't really like that one, I want to do this one, or is there any kind of like collaboration with that?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, I guess, like over the years, I've kind of seen more and more of what these guys can play. And so I'm then suddenly writing to all of their strengths. And I mean, at the same time, it's like, you know, we've sort of do a lot of concepts, and we explore a lot of different parts of the character. And so when, in the interest of kind of staying like fresh and relevant, we never want to kind of keep doing just the same thing. So that's kind of why we've moved past, like, you know, the horny bard trope. And I mean, we still have to like sprinkle in like bits and pieces of it throughout, just to kind of stay true to, like, you know, the essence of what the character was at the start. But I mean, you know, you just watching the same thing over and over again without growth is a little bit boring. So we definitely do try to move the character forwards. And Tom was did have a hand in like kind of shaping the backstory of this character. So I think during our episode called Tragic Backstories, which we shot like in the backyard of Tom's then house that was
really?
about to be demolished.
Oh my! What? That's a tragic backstory on its own.
That's not my house. The rental.
That's fair.
Buried some weird things in the backyard for them to find. So enjoy that.
But like, I think because the other two characters in the party had like dead parents, all of that sort of tragedy in the past. And Tom, you were like, I actually prefer if these guys were alive and they loved me.
I think we all prefer that with our parents.
That is true.
But I think just as I don't know, it's just to subvert expectations. But as far as collaborative moments as well, I've got to say that like there's a lot of fun scripted, and then there's a lot of fun coming out on set, and then sometimes ideas just fly when we're filming, and it's like, does it stick? Does it land? And it's like, yes, or never do that again. And often it's quite fun to see both of those sides.
Yeah, I mean, like when we film, I always say, like, I ask the actor, like, do you know like rules as written? Let's do script as written.
I get that one a lot.
And so then it's like, when you're filming, like obviously we're always fighting the clock. You need to have like something in the can. So we'll always try to like film like the words on the page as they are. And then if we have time, we'll just be like, all right, let's do some improvise. And usually you've kind of like set all the foundation there, all the pieces are in place, and then the actors feel comfortable enough to just like throw out just something completely random. And sometimes that is like the best part of the script that's not even on the page.
I think there is one line which I wish was canon, and it was said in one of the bloopers between Kendall and I. And I forget the line which I said beforehand, but then he responds with, "Oh, what, you mean you're not a virgin?" And my response off the cuff was, "I never was." Which opens up a myriad of issues.
That has several follow-up questions.
Yeah, you can see why that maybe didn't.
I don't think it can.
Wait, what? And moving on.
You'd have to make a Kickstarter like backer thing. It's like, we'll explain this plot line that was mentioned once.
And then just constantly increase it every month.
Yeah, like honestly, working with Tom on set, it feels like you're on the train and you're throwing down the track as you go.
That's my favorite way to travel on a train. So one of the things that I wanted to hit on here was Tom. I
You want to hit on me?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, but
I'll go there.
When I first binge watched this, I'm like, they picked the perfect man for this part.
Good casting.
Good casting. 2 thumbs up. Yes, absolutely. But no, you do quite a bit of cosplay, and I heard that you did some for the show.
Some cosplay for the show.
Yeah, like did you work on the costumes or anything?
The outfits?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a little bit of the some of the outfits. I made Antrius's season 1, 2, 3, and 5 outfits.
Oh wow!
And then there's also a couple of extras and characters that I also made. And I mean, you know what? To brag, I did a lot.
This is the time to do it.
yeah, hold on. So I have done a lot of cosplay in the past, and I guess it's kind of silly not to use those skills in somewhere which could benefit from them. So season 3, I did a lot of the props as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so there was a nice little exploration of using certain materials and things, and it's nice to see effects which I guess people might not notice. Like I made one bowl out of wood and then the other bowl's out of foam, so that Evandra can be hit in the head with it and not suffer a minor concussion.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, you love doing the swap out for the bowl. You just like tap it against your hand, the wooden one, to show everybody that it's hard, and then a second later you throw the rubber one. Everybody just panic. Oh!
Vinny's on set. He's like, come on. But yeah, I guess I've made a couple of things. I guess it was really nice to be allowed to express that. And Distalk has really facilitated a lot of the making of pretty much every asset that we use.
Yeah, I mean, like we knew these guys through like our cosplay background. Like, before One for All and D&D, we were doing like cosplay videos, like fan films and convention music videos and all that sort of stuff. And we actually met Tom, I believe it was at Gold Coast Supernova back in, what was it, 2012?
12.
Oh, that was a day or two ago.
Yeah, I watched this video again the other day.
Oh no!
Yeah, sometimes I like to just browse back into history and see where we've come from.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible watching these old videos and being like, I had no idea who you were when I shot you, but like many years later, like we're good friends, and like all that sort of stuff, like with not even just Tom, but other random people that are even like in the backgrounds of the shots. It's just like, oh, that's that guy. I'm good friends with them. But yeah, it's like we knew these guys through the cosplay background, and it just made sense at the time, being like low budget. I think the first episode for this cost us around like $2,000 total, which is like absolutely nothing when you consider like Marvel films or whatever, $200 million. And so like the $2,000, we had to use whatever resources were available to us. And like these guys are just incredible at making costumes. So it just kind of stuck.
And they look fantastic. I mean, going through it, one of the things that, like, when I was watching the whole show, that I was continually impressed by, besides the amazing actors, was the costuming for it. I mean, I've watched like sketch shows on the internet. I don't want to admit how long now. But like one of the things is that like most of the time you just see them kind of like doing whatever they kind of got in the, or like they went to like a costume store and bought something. But like especially the one where y'all get like the new outfits after the Minotaurium Emporium, like that slow-mo shot walking with all of you in the cool outfits. I'm like, this looks awesome. This looks fantastic. It puts you in the fantasy feel of it. So yeah, that's really cool that like it's not even just like, oh, we worked with this group to do it. Y'all like were working on it. That's cool.
Yeah, so between Eva and who was our main costume designer for the first 5 seasons, and Tom, who made quite a lot of costumes. I mean, it's just amazing to see the progression, because like the season 1 costumes, right? You guys were up all night the night before doing your costumes. They weren't even technically finished for that first episode. Like, there's some stuff that's like pinned on. Like I know Ivandra had to like sew herself into the costume.
Mine was done.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. Tom's on top of it.
No, let's not talk about the later one, but that season 1 one I was done.
I like that Tom was like, I turned in my assignment on time.
don't lump me up with the rest of the crew. Come on.
All right, my bad. But like, definitely going into season 2, the show had been getting some momentum, and we started getting like some support from like our lovely fans on Patreon, and suddenly that $2,000 we started with was a little bit more, so we decided like, all right, this is maybe a thing. Like if we play our cards right, this could be a long-running thing, and let's start kind of like future proofing. Like these costumes that we made for season 1, they look great. On the inside, they're like maybe a little bit falling apart by episode 6. Lots of like last minute stitching and safety pins to hold it all together. So we decided like, yeah, let's level up, let's upgrade these costumes as well. and hopefully they'll last a little bit longer than the first season.
Well, I could not tell that looking at it from the side of the screen I was on. So y'all did an amazing job on that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yo, no, I really like the costume work on that is it's to the point that like when a new character pops up, I pause the video to kind of like look over their outfit because there's a bunch of little details on there. What was the cleric's name? The merfolk one. The Lithrin, yeah. Like when I mean, first of all, the makeup in general was incredible, and then her whole outfit and her mace and everything, like it's one of those that you just have to stop and just look at the details that are on there because there's so many of them.
Well, that is our makeup artist.
Are you serious?
Jen. Yeah, Jen, Soylent.
That's actually a great brand. Makeup in general. That's just what it should be.
You know, we're coming up with a lot of good titles and catchphrases today, folks. You're in for a good one. But that's so cool. I didn't realize she was the makeup artist. I mean, that makes sense. She did an amazing job on herself.
Yeah, I mean, like I think she came in on episode 4. And it was actually Tom, you got her involved in the project.
That's right. I've coerced a couple of people to be involved in this. And I think Jen's going to be like one of the... Definitely brings a lot of production value with her skills.
Absolutely.
So good.
I don't know why my brain immediately went to Darglebark. I think is that the druid's name, Darglebark?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the half transformation between him and the bear owl. Like fun times. Okay, so I had a question in here, but I need to ask one before because I would be remiss if I didn't bring this particular episode up. You all did a musical episode that Tom you led up. How I just have to ask, how did this come about? How did that production go? Like was there like a huge difference between doing a normal episode and this one? Like
yeah, a little bit.
Financially or physically?
Both.
So like to preface this, we had just done season 2 and we got an email out of the blue from Screen Australia, who is the like production funding body for Australia. And we previously applied for them and we were not successful, but one of the person who emailed us, she said, you know, she'd just been looking through previous applicants and to see like, you know, all right, what are they up to now? Maybe they are good enough now. And she found One for All and saw like how popular it was and like how good it looked and you know, it was so, I guess, like competent. Yeah, not bad.
That's the tagline. Here's stories. Competent.
And yeah, she just like asked to have a meeting and basically told us about like different funding opportunities that were available, and we just like, oh my gosh, like let's go for it. So we put together an application and like Bardic Inspiration, which is the name of the musical,
hilariously also on the shirt that I'm wearing right now.
Oh, nice. Amazing. Good taste. Yeah, that was like kind of like the flagship episode because we'd done some songs before. I believe Tom sang just a little made up song that's not really a real song. It's just like a little ditty.
I don't know.
But it's like now we got like actual funding, which is just an incredible opportunity. So we're like, hell yeah, we're going to like shoot for the stars, be as ambitious as possible, and do a full freaking musical.
And not just funding, but we also got like a writer and a composer and a writer who like a massively. Jake is he's got his own entire musical, and he did a lot of the lyrics, and then Ned is you know, he's got a band. He does a lot of the music for the show, just in general. And they got together and collaborated and came up with this absolute banger of a tune. And then they risked it on me.
Yeah, no, these guys were like so helpful to make this, because like I've written stuff in the past, but I would never like trust myself to like write a full song that's kind of a bit different.
Yeah.
So like I had an idea and I'm like, all right, so how do we take this, turn it into a song? And Jake Nielsen, who is a lyricist and writes his own musicals, he's had quite a few up. And in fact, one of his recent ones has just been dubbed and performed in Italy in Italian. So he's he's a rising star in this kind of scene, which is great to see. But he wrote Bardic Inspiration, and then Ned McPhee, our composer, he like put all the backing tracks and the instrumentation together. And yeah, just in the studio, we had Tom singing his heart out, and here's Jake just being like, a little flat, a little
Like,
too sharp this time.
That was my first time in a studio, and like it was confronting because like you do get a lot of notes and you get a lot of feedback from multiple different sources, and they're all kind of like stretching you in different ways. But it is really just a collaborative thing, and these instructions are coming out of like a let's get the best we can get out of this this kind of situation. So getting notes from Jake is like on a technical point was incredible, and there's character notes from Elliot, and then there's like musical notes from Ned, and I think we sort of slowly stitched together quite a fun little thing.
It was fantastic. I will say, as a viewer, that's genuinely one of my favorite episodes, because I the first time I watched it, I had like parts of it stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
Good.
It was so good.
That's what I like to know. I'm annoying you when you can't see me. That's brilliant.
I didn't say annoy. I was enjoying it.
Don't worry, I figured it out for you.
They just did a screening of the Honor Among Thieves movie at I think is it the Alamo Draft House in Texas, and the people who run that theater actually like approached us like, can we play Bardic Inspiration before the movie starts?
Did that happen?
Really?
It did happen just over the weekend.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'm not sure if that like set the bar low for the movie, or
I feel like that's really is kind of like a perfect way to like get into it, because again, like we're talking about like the production value of the costuming and everything like that, and like this is what a D&D, this is what to expect of a D&D group. This is what the internet expects of a D&D group. Now you're gonna see what Hollywood expects of a D&D group. I love it. No, I think that's fantastic. And I know the name Alamo Draft House. It's a very popular venue, so that's huge. That's freaking awesome.
This is amazing. This is the first time hearing about it. This is awesome.
Tom's getting the surprise during the interview. Haha.
Yeah, right, Tom. So when the D&D movie sequel comes out, we'll do a sequel to Bardic Inspiration, and then fly over and you can sing it live.
Let's not do that.
Raising the bar. I love it. So the reason why I wanted to ask that one first is because like one of the questions that I do want to ask the two of you, what do you have a favorite episode?
Tom?
Well, I mean, obviously both musical episodes, like very special to me. Because we did Bardic Inspiration, then we did Battle of the Bards, and
that's
like,
right.
They are framed in like slightly different ways. One's like a musical, and the other one's kind of like a Battle of the Band scenario. They're very special to me. But like, there's so many little bits of so many different episodes that like sort of stand up and like are super important. And I think while my answer to this question has changed quite a bit over the course of time, but I really enjoy episode 2 purely for nostalgic reasons.
Is that the one with the guard, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I think this is like when we were kind of finding our feet, and I go back and I watch this episode, and I'm just like, look at us all, look at us try. And that's a really nice warm feeling for me. So I guess it's a different way to answer the question, but that's definitely important.
No, that's great. And honestly, episode 2, I love it because like Antrius going around the little guitar, sneaking around, throwing the leaves. Like that was when I'm like, I like this guy. Oh, this is good. What now, Elliot? What about you? Because I mean, you are knee deep in the production of this stuff. Like you are all over it. It kind of feels like I'm asking
Pick
you to
your
pick favorite child.
child.
Yeah, I pick your favorite
Yeah.
child.
Basically, yeah. Look, some kids turn out better than others.
Some people's kids.
But I really like obviously the musicals. But I think I have a soft spot for it's an episode called we were calling it Language Proficiency when it was being made, but it's called Bards of a Feather when we released it. It's the one with the party get kind of adopted by Aarakocra.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's so unhinged.
That is
in
a
the
great
best
word
possible
for it. It's also, I think, one of the only ones that has like a Tarantino intro where we're starting out with Andrew. It's just like, you won't believe how I got here.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and I love that montage style, and honestly, just the fact that we pulled it off, like that was like peak COVID, and so
wow.
we had like all these like kind of, fair but very tough restrictions for even getting onto set. So it's like, you can only have a few people in the room at a time. Everybody had to be like, obviously rat tested and all that stuff and wearing masks. And we had like a coming in and out of the room kind of system that we did, which was really tough to work with. So it's like, all right, so art department stepping on, that means makeup has to like leave the space.
That's wild. Yeah, I didn't even think about that timing. Yeah, y'all were filming during that time, and I'm sure that affected quite a few episodes too.
Yeah. There's a reason why season 4 is mostly in the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. To be fair, I didn't even notice that watching through it. So like that was one of those like I wouldn't have even guessed that was filmed during that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of good that it's over and we can just look back and appreciate and forget that it even happened.
Yeah.
Well, so one of the things though, going off with that I wanted to ask was like how long do you estimate like it takes for an episode to get made?
I mean, that's one of those questions which is like, how long is a piece of string?
That's fair.
But
I
mean,
patience.
yeah, basically.
Well, okay.
Like
let me amend that. Like for a season, are you all like going out and like, okay, we're gonna film all of this in like this set amount of time, or is it broken up with filming, or do you just kind of try and shoot it all in one go?
For like when we started this, we were just doing like month to month, so we would shoot an episode and then we wouldn't even think about shooting the next one until we'd kind of finished editing and like sort of seen how this episode shaped up. And that includes like the shooting of like, the fantasy stuff and then the tabletop scene. But as we kind of went along and started to get like more budget through Screen Australia and Patreon, and we even did a Kickstarter, which was like really successful. We thought like this is only fair to start paying people like legit, union rates. Because like, these are our crew, these people work with us and like they deserve to pay rent.
Yes. Yeah. That's awesome.
So we had to start like gradually, thinking a little bit more about like how do we shoot this like tactically, to kind of min-max the the cost of production. So in the end it kind of resulted in like these 1 or 2 week long shoot blocks, and then shooting like all the tabletop stuff like back to back on a single day.
Oh wow.
So it's I mean, Tom can speak to how kind of grueling this experience is.
Yeah, look, there's been some days which are a lot harder than others, and at the end of the day, you really just focused on trying to produce a product and stay awake after 3 p.m. carbs. That's a serious problem. But like, yeah, the effort doesn't stop sort of at the end of the day. It doesn't start at the beginning of the day. There's so many little flying pieces, and even just down to conceptualizing an idea. You could have seen that happen, months ago. Elliot just scribbled down on a page, and then suddenly, he'll go back into his little folder and bring it back out and be like, I assume you have a folder, and slap it on the desk and be like, we're going to do this. And party. And then, suddenly it could be, like last week, it could be last month, but we always seem to come up with something. And the timeline is almost irrelevant. I mean,
That's
obviously
fair,
not for scheduling purposes.
Yeah, in the moment,
that says a lot about how I view it.
Well, I mean, I think this is a really interesting example. We shot some new episodes that we haven't really announced yet, so I guess you're hearing it here first, or because this is pre-recorded, they might have already started.
Who
coming
knows?
out.
Time's weird.
You may not know about this one.
But we shot some like kind of smaller in scale episodes that just feature like this character with this other NPC and see how like that all works out. But one of the ones we shot, I looked at the script that I'd written, and I think it was from 2021.
Oh, wow.
So like it's just kind of been sitting on my computer, just like waiting for its time in the sun.
This episode is 2 years in the making.
Yeah, like technically, like from a legal standpoint, it took us 2 years to make this. Did it actually take us working on it 2 years? Not really.
There's a lot of thinking involved.
Yeah.
That's fair though, and I've written scripts for stuff like that. I know how like stuff will sit on the drive for a very long time. There's like, wait a minute, that will work right here.
Yeah. It's like this isn't this script's time.
Yeah,
but keep it in your back pocket, and maybe it'll become relevant again.
Go back and look at them and be like, wow, I can't say that anymore. Tropic Thunder.
Oh my god, yeah. There's definitely some writing that I've looked back on and gone, oof. Oof. Oh, the funs of looking back.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll look back at One for All and be like, wow.
Who'd have thought it would be there?
Yeah, so Mama Bird feeding baby birds. Yeah. I don't quite know what we were thinking at the time.
It's art. It's process.
That scene is unfortunately burned into my memory, I think.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You should be. that was that episode. Oh my gosh. That was definitely one of them that I'm like, this is D&D. This is the ridiculousness that a party does get up to.
Yeah, like theater of the mind when everybody's just saying that, and then the baby birds get fed. I think there's that level of disconnect from like, what's fun sitting around a table with friends, and then actually acting that out in person. Some things are better left unsaid.
The players at the table definitely did seem more confident than the ones that were in the game, so I love it. Well, I've got two kind of silly questions to wrap this up with. But I want to ask: have either of you played a character that you would say is like Antrius at a table?
No, I play distinctly different characters.
Oh, really?
Oh man, we've done a couple of online episodes or online playthroughs where I have actually had to play Antrius at a D&D table, and I find it quite difficult. Just because it's just not the frame. I normally play goblins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like a Lancer Gremlin player. So when it comes to Antrius, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is...
It's always fun to see these guys play their characters at the table and then see what kind of shenanigans work, because the thing is that like they were originally written to be just the worst players, and so there's always that kind of like disconnect, like, oh, okay, so if we play, like, for instance, Antrius at full peak Antrius, it's like this campaign is not going anywhere.
This campaign is Antrius's now.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to throw the DM under the bus like straight away?
So to that point though, Elliot, what kind of characters do you gravitate to?
I mean, I also do love my, like, gremlin type characters. I love playing dumb characters because it's
so much
it's
fun.
just so fun to just derail the campaign in that way. Like, you're still like on the rails, but you're dangerously close to going off the tracks.
Yeah. Well, I really do love this because like one of the characters that I have played in a couple of stream games for C&E is a goblin sorcerer named Garlock who thinks that he's a wizard and doesn't understand how magic works and just wants to be best friends with everyone. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much.
They're just so much fun to play.
or actually make him a wizard goblin and give him the powers of moisture.
Why moisture? Oh God, that I saw that this weekend and I'm like, oh God, why
you are so welcome.
Yeah, look, honestly, like Tom was so happy on set. Like, that was such a rush day, and then like that was literally the last half hour of the day that Tom suddenly comes out in makeup that
that was you?
Yeah, that's me. It's like my character and me.
What? I would have never guessed that was you. That's incredible.
That's what I'm like behind closed doors.
Just
this is the makeup here.
Strangely damp at all times. It's just how I exist.
But like, honestly, it was so much fun to see Tom play a different character. That we actually got him to play a new character on the upcoming shoot block that we did.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. So I think it's so fun to see these guys range, to see what they can bring to the table when they just get to be unleashed.
That's awesome. Well, that was all the questions that I got, because that is I don't know how to wrap it up better than Sticky Goblin that Tom played. Well, thank you two so much for taking the time to talk with me today. This was fantastic and enlightening, so thank you. If people wanted to find the two of you on the interwebs and what you do, where could they do so?
So the first stop would be Deerstalker Pictures, where we release One for All, and then like all of our socials are also there. If you want to follow me personally, I'm at Technotropism on Instagram. Tom?
What does that mean? I've never known.
Technotropism?
I was just sort of nodded and be like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Long-ish story, but it was basically the name of a script that I wrote. And I also needed a name for my Instagram page. So
okay. That's very
that works. That works.
As for me, slightly simpler. It's just Forgeling. If you want to follow me on socials, it's Forgeling, Twitter, Instagram, or pretty much anything else. Come join me on Twitch when I start that up again, and otherwise just watch me annoy you on Deerstalker Pictures.
You will not be disappointed, chat. Trust me. If you have not watched the show, I highly recommend going and checking out it, because, like I said, I think I actually binged it all in one day. So,
no, thank
a
you,
loose
Trevor.
day.
The 3 years of our life you watched
okay,
a single day.
Let me rephrase this. I binged it all in one day, and then I continued watching it because I was like, okay, no, my wife and I need to sit down and watch this too because she needs to see this.
Thank you.
Okay, watch them slowly, chat. Give them the time they deserve.
No, multiple screens. Like all
There you
episodes at
go.
once.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, no.
ultimate consumption.
Yeah, it's like the ending of the second Matrix movie, but it's all Antrius.
Purgatory. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, again, thank you both so much for taking the time today. Chat, you can play Antrius right now because you live in the future where Antrius is in the game. So you can go unlock him right now in game. And there's a few fun things in there in the store as well for Antrius that I think you'll enjoy. Yeah, that is gonna do it for this week's episode. So until next week, take care of yourself.